Um, so just a reminder for any of you who we're not here on Monday, but our general meeting format, by the way, we do take feedback if you want this, or if you want me to just like talk kind of loud-ish. So we'll spend about 5 minutes just talking about weekly announcements. We'll spend maybe 15 to 20 minutes, maybe longer, if we have like a special speaker here, giving some sort of lightning talk in the field of cybersecurity. These are both member-led. So if any of you want to give a talk to ACM Cyber either this quarter or in the future, definitely. If you go into announcements and scroll up, there should be a link, or you can just like DM either of us in Discord. And then we spend the rest of the time not doing our labs, but doing the workshops. And we will split into 3 different groups. So for Cyber Academy, in order to be an active member, what you need to do is just attend most of the workshops that we have here with Cyber Academy and submit one write-up for some challenge you have solved here in ACM Cyber. If you have not already submitted this form at ACM GM or last Monday, please go do so now. It's just like, make sure that we have your information in our system and just indicate your interest for being here at Cyber Academy. So some announcements. Save the date. Saturday, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, I believe, we will be going to the Getty Center, which is an art museum just right across the freeway, essentially. RSVP at that link so we know roughly how many people will show up. Tickets are free, though we do need to like have a general idea of how many people are going. So please fill out that form if you're interested. And then the other big announcement we have is we will be trying to do CPTC in the fall. So what is this? This is the Collegiate Penetration Testing Competition, where we will compete against other universities in real-world penetration testing simulations, where we essentially get some sort of computer system, network, environment that might simulate, for example, a satellite network or something. We go attack it, find vulnerabilities, write them up, give a report, essentially role-playing role-playing C-suite individuals that we have to convince, the vulnerabilities we found were bad and need to be fixed. The team size is limited. I think we can only have 6 on a team. However, if you are interested, we will be doing like practices over the summer and probably in fall quarter, and we can have more than 6 people there if you are just interested in just vibing with us and learning how to do penetration testing. Interest form is there. It's also posted in announcements on Monday, I believe. So this weekend, we will be doing Boiler CTF hosted by Purdue. Definitely pull up. Should be pretty beginner friendly, I believe. So if you want to do lunch with us, meet at the Denev turnaround at 11 a.m. If not, we'll be in the clubhouse. So we're in Tesla room. So we'll get the room number to you all soon. But that will start at around 12:30 or 1 p.m. usually. If you are interested in doing PBR, again, make sure you submit that join form earlier and indicate your interest in doing PBR so we give you the role and you can gain access to all of our channels. Next Monday, we will have a talk given by Savannah over there on cybersecurity lobbying experience. And then in this room in a week, we will have one given by TS. Where is TS? Not here. Okay, on shadow stacks. If you're interested in doing a cyber lab and did not attend last Monday, it's not too late to sign up for them. Submit the join form and show up next Monday. And then lastly, we do cyber basketball 6 to 8 p.m. in the Hitch courts every Friday. Without further ado, I'll give it to Joshua to do cryptographic voices in your head.
All right. Okay. Oh, I feel like a sports commentator again. Okay. So first off, to give you a little lore in cryptography. So I don't know if you ever heard of Alice and Bob. These are some variations of them. But if you hang out around cryptographers or do any of that, you'll always hear about Alice and Bob communicating and exchanging keys and messages and everything like that. So I don't know if you ever wondered, like, where did they come from? Where are they going? And what are they always talking about? Well, okay, I don't think I can answer the last two, but at least for where they came from. So if you've ever heard of Reves, Shamir, and Adelman, these are the people who made the RSA crypto scheme. RSA is just their initials, right? They're the first ones to have called characters A and B Alice and Bob in one of their papers. I think it was on like some public key encryption thing. And so yeah, ever since Alice and Bob have captured the hearts and minds of cryptographers all over the world. So the next time you are like staring at some horrible math and you feel like melting, you can think of Alice and Bob exchanging messages and maybe they can talk to you. Um, and you can be a little less lonely as you're doing like quantum physics or something. Looking at you, Daniel. But anyways, let's make things more interesting. So suppose you have some secrets in your head as well. Ooh, fancy. Okay. So what do these secrets actually look like? Well, okay. What we like to do in cryptography, I suppose. And if you don't know what some of the words I'm about to say mean, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But we like NP problems because they're kind of hard, but if you have the witness, then it's polynomial time computable. And so our secrets will usually end up in a form like R of x comma W equals 1. So R is this NP relation. W is the witness. You can think of this as like the correct answer, and they call it a witness. X is yeah, there's no good acronym for that. But it's kind of like a illustration. You can say that like R is maybe a question like, can this secret briefcase be opened by a passcode? X would be like the particular instance of the problem, or I guess a statement. So it's like, this particular briefcase. And then, W could be the passcode that makes it so when you put it into the function, it equals 1, which means it is solvable. Otherwise, if it's 0, that means that the witness did not work. And if there's no such witness, such that like R of x comma W equals 1, then, that problem can't be solved. Otherwise, there is an answer. All that to say, we're just, oh, that's the wrong letter. Sometimes you see R and F interchanged. But yeah, so, okay, now our secret looks something like F of x comma W equals 1, or you could put R there. And so, okay, now what do we do with this? Well, maybe like since Alice and Bob are in our minds, right? We can like, inject the knowledge into Alice. And so Alice knows what W is. Maybe we withhold it from Bob. And so they can talk and Alice can say, oh yeah, here's the value for W. Isn't that cool, right? And Bob, he accepts it. Okay. But not gonna lie, that's kind of boring. So what can we do to make things more interesting in the conversations floating in our head? Well, we can try splitting up the secret. So maybe we only give one part to Alice and one part to Bob. And I suppose Alice could just tell Bob the other part, and then Bob could tell his part to Alice, and we'd be back to square one where we were before. That's no fun. So what can they do instead? So suppose we split up the witness into a bunch of parts, and I suppose with n this can be a number larger than 2. Usually it is. And so there's Alice, Bob, I don't know, Charlie, other people floating around in our mind. And so we can define a new function based off the old relation R. So R was just on X, the problem, and W, the witness, right? And so it's pretty simple to define a new function that takes in a bunch more like witness parts, so to speak, and just outputs what R would do with it for like the combination. That's the symbol for XOR. That's just like a simple way to divide up your secret. And so it'd be pretty cool if we could have everyone verify that the relation was true without revealing their individual secrets. And so is there a way to do this? Yes, there is. It's called something called secure multi-party computation, often abbreviated MPC. And so what happens in secure MPC is we have this protocol, and so everyone has their own individual secrets, and they'll go and like talk to each other in accordance with this protocol. And at the end, the protocol is just going to spit out, oh, I should move this, spit out what the output of that function is. Now, how do these MPC protocols work? We'll just treat it as a black box for now. There are some pretty cool ways to do this for 2 players, for more. But for now, just treat it as a black box. I guess if you're interested more, you can come talk to me afterwards. And so, okay, now that we have this like, magical thingy called MPC, we can have, oh, not yet. One more thing. So in the course of running this protocol, no one is supposed to learn anything about the other people's secrets. But what if people like, after they run the protocol, they like talk to each other after the fact and like, hey, let's exchange notes. Well, what do you think happens, right? Um, and so we say that an MPC protocol has T privacy, T being just like a number. If even when up to T honest players get together and exchange notes after the fact, they can't figure out any more information other than like the secrets that they hold. So if like just having two parts could reveal everyone else's stuff, then that would not be too private or too secure. And for the purposes of the rest of this talk, we'll say that like the MPC protocols that we're using are at least too secure. And there is a stronger condition for malicious parties. You'll notice that this is like semi-honest privacy as opposed to malicious. We won't worry about that for now.
Honest player mean?
Right. Honest just means that they followed the protocol correctly. So this is contrasting with malicious, where they're allowed to like deviate from the script, right? If they're supposed to like multiply their secret by a number and like divide that up, they could just send random values instead, and that would be malicious. So honest is just they followed everything correctly, and then semi-honest, still they followed everything correctly, but like they weren't supposed to be talking at all, and so these people they do talk. All right, and so we can get Alice and Bob and whoever else is talking in our head to run NPC, and then they can compute based off the secret shares, like those parts that we split up in our own mind before giving it to them. And lo and behold, with our secret that we had, they can compute that the relation f of x comma all those secret shares is 1. But we already knew that. That's like what we started with before we gave them anything, right? So that's still kind of pointless. Okay, let's make things even more interesting. Okay, so while we're off, daydreaming about Alice and Bob talking to each other, maybe someone else, like a real person, whoa, scary, comes up to us and asks us what we're thinking about, right? So we have this secret in our mind, but if we were to just spill the secret, then it wouldn't be a secret anymore, right? So we want to still keep it in our head, but we want to like convince this person somehow that we know something really cool without revealing it to them, okay? And so that's the idea behind zero knowledge, if you've ever heard this term. Up here, this is like, I don't know if you ever like watched magician shows when you were younger, but here, you have a magician. He like magically made an elephant appear out of nowhere in front of all these innocent and totally not colluding spectators, right? Well, yeah, funny enough, in this show, I think they just say, yeah, they're all paid actors, right? And so, I was never convinced. I was like, how do you know that those people there, they aren't just like in cahoots with the magician, right? But suppose you were one of those people and you were not in cahoots with the magician and he really did make an elephant appear out of nowhere, right? You would be convinced. But the people watching this video would not be convinced. They'd be like, yeah, you could just be a paid actor, right? So that's kind of like, at least in my head, the intuition behind zero knowledge. For a little more concrete example, there's this one by, I forget his name, it's some French mathematician. But he wrote this paper, something like a paper called like How to Explain Zero Knowledge to Your Children or something. So this is actually a very intuitive example of zero knowledge. So suppose, okay, normally for zero knowledge, there's a prover and a verifier. So P and V. And let's see. So the girl here would be the prover. Let's say it's like Phoebe and Vincent. Cryptographers love coming up with names for people, you can tell. And so in the Alibaba story, right, there's a cave and there's a fork, you go to either side and you hit a dead end, right? But if you know the secret, the magic word, you can say it and then the wall opens up and then you can go to the other side, right? And so suppose Phoebe wants to convince Vincent that she knows the magic word to open up the cave, right? So while Vincent is outside, Phoebe randomly selects a path to go to, right? And so Vincent does not know which one Phoebe took. Phoebe took B in this case. And then Vincent, he also flips a coin, randomly chooses one direction for Phoebe to come out of, right? And so if Vincent said B, he said A in this picture, right? If he said B, Phoebe could just, walk out from that side and, that would be easy, right? But if Vincent chooses the side that Phoebe did not choose, then, well, she better know the magic word to be able to come out from the other side, right? Now, suppose Phoebe did not know the magic word, okay? And Vincent said, A, he or she chose B. Well, she's screwed, right? Because she doesn't know the magic word. She can't come out from the A side. She can only go from the B side. And so Vincent can say, ha, Phoebe, you don't actually know the magic word. But, there is a 50% chance that Phoebe chooses the same thing that Vincent does, right? So if Vincent says B here, Phoebe doesn't actually need the magic word to like show up on the right side. But again, this is a 50% chance. And so if the two just repeat this a whole bunch of times, the probability of Phoebe getting lucky is, 1/2 times a half times a half times a half, as many times as this happens, and that can like, goes to 0 very fast, right? And what's nice about this is that for us looking at this, like suppose we're like third parties, right? Suppose like both of them were paid actors, right? Then instead of randomly flipping coins to decide, Vincent and Phoebe just come up with a script and say like, okay, we're gonna go in this order. We'll do like A, B, A, B, or something like that, right? And so they can just follow that along, and then every time Phoebe will emerge at the side that Vincent says, but they didn't actually have to know the magic word to be able to do that, right? So yeah, I guess for a slightly more formal definition of zero knowledge, so you have a prover and a verifier, and they interact, and P has this claim that this secret holds, right? And so we have completeness, which is that if they're both honest, as in they're both being truthful and going according to the protocol, then V should accept P's claim that P knows the secret, right? The soundness property has that if P is lying, V should reject most of the time, right? So in the previous case, if P did not know the magic word, then Vincent would be able to catch her, not being able to come out the side he said, with a very high probability, right? And then lastly, the whole zero knowledge part about zero knowledge proofs is that even if V tries to like, mess around and like probe for more information, the whole idea of zero knowledge, like the way to formalize that is that V could have simulated like a similar exchange between the two. And so again, kind of the intuition is like, I could have done the same with paid actors, right? Okay, and so we can actually use this whole imagined NPC to create a zero knowledge proof for that secret. And it's called NPC in the head. This was developed by the initials are IKOS, with the O being Ostrovsky from our very own UCLA. But yeah, so in the protocol, you can imagine this smiley face has these voices like P1 through P6, and they're running NPC inside his head with the secret shares W1 through W6 that he like put into their minds, right? And so as they run the NPC protocol, like this is the protocol has them exchanging messages and things like that. And so that's going to create like say a transcript of everything they've said and received. So that's what we'll call like the views. So view P1 is first of all like the secret share that P1 knows, and then it'll also include like the first set of messages that P1 sends out, and also the ones that it hears from other voices, right? And so you'll have when they're done writing the protocol, you'll have a bunch of these views. And so to go and convince someone else that you know the secret, what you do is the COMM, that stands for commitment. I don't want to get too much into that, but basically, you can think of it as like an information theoretic analogy to taking some information and putting it inside a lockbox and then sending it off. So once you put it inside a lockbox, then you can't change it without opening it up, right? But the other person who receives it doesn't know what's inside until you send them the key. And so you do that for all the views, and then the verifier asks you to unlock 2 of those views. And so you do that, and the verifier accepts this like zero knowledge proof if 1, you actually sent over the keys and they open up correctly. 2, if the voices who are running that NPC protocol were behaving correctly, so honestly, right, they weren't fooling around and being malicious. 3, if the voices had consistent views, so like if one of them says, I said this to that one, then that other one should say, oh, I heard the same thing, right? And so this is kind of like kind of similar to the second one where, if they're doing things correctly, then everything should match up, right? And then lastly, the voices should say that when they were done with the MPC protocol, the function like outputted 1, which means that like the secret was valid, right? And so to show that it is ZK, we need to satisfy. Yes.
That's something you have to like run multiple times,
We'll get to that. Yeah. So if you remember, we had like completeness, soundness, and zero knowledge. So completeness is to remind you that's when if both the prover and the verifier are acting honestly, then the verifier should accept, right? And so this follows from the fact that like the MPC protocol we were using underneath was correct. So those voices, they should be able to compute that like f of some of their secret shares outputted 1, right? So that's good. Zero knowledge. So we mentioned this some slides ago, but if the protocol has true privacy, which means that like if 2 people get together and exchange notes, they still shouldn't be able to tell anything about the rest of these secrets. And so yeah, if we have that, B gets to see 2 views, but nothing more, right? And so we're kind of safe from this this property. And yeah, I guess if you go back a little more, I suppose the way we've constructed things is that you need like every single one of those secret shares to get back the original secret. And so just having 2 out of 6 will not do it. And so V learns nothing. And if you actually like do a more detailed proof, you can come up with a whole simulator argument where V can just randomly like generate the rest of the things, and that would show us zero knowledge. And lastly, there's soundness. So actually, I was getting at this. So this is when we're worried about the prover being malicious, right? So inside the prover's mind, maybe there's like one dishonest voice. Maybe they're all dishonest. But the crucial point is that if there's one of them that's dishonest, then there will be at least 2 inconsistent views among the voices. And so since that's the case, B can catch an inconsistency in the views with probability at least 1 in n choose 2, right? If they select those 2 that were inconsistent, there likely to be a lot more since, well, okay, maybe not likely, but if there was only just one dishonest voice, then all the honest ones would have a different view than the dishonest one, right? So that'd be more. But it turns out this is enough. 1 in n choose 2, so that's like about 1 over n squared, right? Now that's pretty small if n is large, but we can just do this a bunch of times. And so if we do that, then the probability that the prover gets away with this starts to go down very rapidly as we repeat this over and over again. Just like with the Alibaba cave example, right? Maybe if you only do it once, then the prover has a 50% chance of just picking the same road as the verifier asked for. But if you do it a bunch of times, then the probability that you get them all right just vanishes. And so with that, you're able to turn this MPC protocol into a zero knowledge proof, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, it turns out like imagining things and people and conversations could actually have use for actual conversations. All right. And yeah, I guess like if you're interested in more, okay, this is totally not photoshopped image of real CS183 content. But yeah, you learn more about like this kind of theoretical cryptography in CS183 and also the grad classes 282A and B. So if this was interesting to you, your mileage may vary with Rafi. I enjoyed his classes, but yeah, that's all I'll say for now. Oh yeah, that's him. This is Rafi playing Power Wash Simulator. All right, yeah, that's all for me. Okay, so Cyber Academy time. So as Alec mentioned, we have 3 groups. one for web security, one for cryptography, and then one more for combined reverse engineering and binary exploitation. So, okay, we're gonna have to figure out how to split the room, but
All right, raise your hand if you're interested in doing web security. Okay, raise your hand if you're interested in doing cryptography.